It's the nuts and bolts of Monday Night Raw. It's Who Shot Enzo on Monday Night Raw. And this is the Nuts and Bolts for Monday Night Raw, May 22nd, 2017. And hey fans, before we bring it up here, we're going to bring it down here. I'm T Voeltz, and you can hit me up on the Twitter. I'm at Travis Voeltz. Let's get started because Raw is, after all, 3 hours. Right out of the chute, our show starts off hot with Bray Wyatt in the ring, and he's calling out 5 guys, 4 of which are his other competitors in the Extreme Rules PPV, if we used to call it, as we used to call it that, and it's coming up real soon. And the 5th guy, none other than the Universal Champion, Brock Lesnar. And he says he is the man to slay the beast. Well, from there, this brings out Roman Reigns, and he answers the call from his old rival Bray Wyatt, and guess what happens from there? That's right, Raw GM Kurt Angle comes out, and he makes that match right now. So right out of the chute, out of a 3-hour Raw, we have a pay-per-view quality main event featuring Bray Wyatt versus the big dog in the yard, Roman Reigns. Here's some interesting things I noted during that match. Now, did you notice in the match, the camera goes over to Bray Wyatt, he has Roman Reigns down in the ring, and Bray Wyatt is biting on the ropes. Did that remind anybody else of Mankind? Boy, that was a throwback if I've ever seen one. Well, the other thing I noticed was how early Samoa Joe came out and got involved in the ring, saving this match for a later date. Anyway, Samoa Joe jumps in early, gets the coquina clutch on both guys, not just Roman Reigns, but both guys, proving that it is going to be every man for himself at the upcoming event, Extreme Rules. From there, this of course brings out Seth Rollins, who jumps on Samoa Joe because these guys have quite a personal rivalry going back before WrestleMania when Triple H sent Samoa Joe to take out Seth Rollins. So this is continuing. Well, this ends with Roman Reigns' Superman punch on Bray Wyatt. Like one of these bad boys. That's right, this ends with a shield-like stare down between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. A sign of things to come? We'll have to wait and see. From there, we're backstage with Kurt Angle, and he makes a tag team match, playa, a la Teddy Long. We're going to have a tag team match later on in the night, and we'll get to that later. Well, he no longer gets done speaking, then the old drifter comes into the shot, interrupting Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle doesn't like the drifter's tune. And guess what he gets for his trouble? He gets a match with the Intercontinental Champion tonight, Dean Ambrose, making this Drifter's in-ring Raw debut. That was exciting. We'll get to that later on. From there, we have some 205 Live division matchup between Daivari and Akira Tozawa, with Brian Kendrick watching backstage. Tozawa wins with the senton, and from there, we get Kendrick talking about a street fight coming up tomorrow night on 205 Live. And here's what you didn't see. On Raw, after Raw went off the air, a big brawl broke out between Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa. So, if you're a 205 Live fan, tune in for that big matchup. My correspondent, my 205 Live correspondent, has yet to return from Rio de Janeiro, so you're going to have to go elsewhere on OneWrestling.com for that news. Well, from there we have an interview with Sasha Banks, and she gets interrupted by the Raw Women's Champion, Alicia, no he didn't, sorry, not the champion. Alicia Fox comes out and interrupts with boyfriend Noam Dar in hand. We're going to see that later on. There seems to be that rivalry just keeps going on between the two of them. Next up, we have that Drifter taking center stage, bringing his brand of music to the Raw audience. Now here's a cut thing right out of the chute. Does this remind anyone else of The Rock taking center stage with the guitar? Or maybe Double J, J-A, double R, E, double T, Jarrett. Or the Honky Tonk Man. It's been a while since we've seen the guitar in the WWE. Well, here's our next matchup. Intercontinental Champion, the Lunatic Fringe, Dean Ambrose versus the Drifter in his Raw in-ring debut. Well, here's a couple notable notes here, some brass tacks if you will. The Miz and Maurice were on commentary for this match, and guess who they were putting down? That's right, Dean Ambrose and his carrying of the Intercontinental title. They don't think he brings very much prestige to that very prestigious title. Well, here's something else I noticed. Elias Samson really working the arm of Dean Ambrose. Really throwback grounded style by this new grappler on Raw. I like that type of style. Just the down and dirty, just working on a body part guy a la the Andersons. But Elias Samson, the Drifter, does not remind me of the Andersons. You know who he reminds me of? Imagine a chain around my neck. Imagine me getting sold to the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, from Bobby Heenan. That's right, Elias Samson reminds me of Hercules. That's right. This guy has the facial features, he has a really good build, he's wrestling that old school style. All he's missing is the full Nelson. Remember the full Nelson battle with Billy Jack Haynes at WrestleMania 3? I do. Anyways, impressive debut match for, not Hercules, Elias Samson. He really gave the Intercontinental Champion a run for his money. Well, this is what happens. The Miz eventually charges the ring, dressed to the nines in a full suit, and he just gives one brief shot on the Drifter, just enough to cause a disqualification and giving the DQ win to the Drifter, Elias Samson. This is a precursor for the Extreme Rules matchup coming up between The Miz and Dean Ambrose, where the title can change hands on a DQ. Bit of a foreshadowing of what The Miz has planned at Extreme Rules. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Well, this ends with Ambrose giving chase on The Miz, and guess what? Elias Samson gets one more in as he attacks the Intercontinental Champion Dean Ambrose, and guess who's left and tall in the ring at the end of this segment? Elias Samson. Watch for big things from the Drifter. Well, and here comes the big one of the night, something that they address throughout the night. It's Who Shot JR? Wait a minute, that's not right. It's Who Shot Enzo? Okay, he didn't get shot, but the camera finds him laid out in the back, and his good friend, his best buddy, his tag team partner, Big Cass, is on a rampage. Who did this? Who did this? And he's questioning everybody left and right. This is a real case of who done it? It'll be interesting to see how this turns out. This isn't the first time that someone has been jumped backstage without anybody knowing who it is. Could it be Stone Cold Steve Austin? No. Could it be Mr. McMahon? No. Could it be one of the Samoans? Or, better yet, could it be none other than his best friend? Seems a little bit strange, but let's look at this closely. Now, Enzo has been getting ragdolled on a daily basis. Does this guy have what it takes to be in the ring? Is he holding back Big Cass? Now, Big Cass might be feeling like his little buddy, we're not talking Gilligan's Island here, but his little buddy is holding him back. But he doesn't quite know, maybe he's passive-aggressive, doesn't quite know how to address us with Enzo, so maybe a sneak attack from behind? Time's going to tell on this one. It'll be interesting to see from there. From here, we head into our big second hour of the 3-hour Monday Night Raw. And it starts out huge because none other than the Demon King. The Demon King. Okay, it wasn't the Demon King. It was Finn Balor dressed in that coat, you know, the coat, the one with the collar that just can't seem to be right. He's always working on that thing. He comes out, and guess who comes out? Someone we haven't seen in quite some time. Pardon me, may I have a moment of your time? Okay, that was a really bad accent, and he's not a foreigner. I don't know why it sounded like that, but he is from the East Coast. People do have a different accent out there, no matter where you're at in the country. Okay, I'm just going to stop before I offend somebody. But Paul Heyman comes out, the advocate for the Universal Champion, and he makes it known that he thinks Finn Balor is the man to beat. And you know what, Paul? I agree with you. I am calling it right now. Finn Balor wins the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules, making him the #1 contender to Brock Lesnar's Universal Champion. He calls Finn Balor the most talented in-ring competitor right now. Whew. Lofty words from Paul Heyman. And you know what? Who am I to disagree? If Finn Balor isn't the most talented in-ring competitor, he's got to be in the conversation. Well, this face-off ends with a good luck handshake. Now, this wasn't the Mega Powers. Oh, yeah. This was not the Mega Powers forming handshake. No, 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 no. This was a good luck handshake between Paul Heyman and Finn Balor. And here's something that was made mention by Finn Balor. He makes note of the fact that Brock Lesnar has not been here. Surprise, surprise. Woo-wee! Did the WWE Universe jump all over that comment? Because let's face it, Brock Lesnar has been the absent beast. Well, from here we get Carl Anderson with Luke Gallows in tow versus Finn Balor. Now, these guys are former Bullet Club teammates, or the Balor Club teammates. Could this have been one of those opportunities for them to join forces and be the new stable on Monday Night Raw? Nope, not this time. We get a straight up match here, ending with Balor taking out both Gallows and Anderson, leading to Finn Balor winning with the coup de grace for the win on Carl Anderson. From there we get Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox. Okay, this ends with Fox going down to Sasha Banks. They seem to really, this was the rubber match. They both picked up a win. Well, Sasha won this match, but even though this was the rubber match, this situation is not over because Fox hits a scissors kick on Sasha Banks after the match. A scissors kick with none other than the five-time WCW champion Booker T on commentary. That's right. Why am I talking about Booker T? Because he did the scissor kick, of course. From here we get Kalisto backstage asking Apollo Crews about Enzo, aka J.R. Ewing. Kalisto wondering, Apollo Crews, did you do it? Well, Apollo Crews did not take kindly to this, and this brings in the old Titus brand. And he starts talking all of this crazy stuff. This guy's really doing some TED Talks, if you will. Hey, how about the dress of Titus? If you are a Titus brand fan, raise your hand. That's right, I am. I love this guy. This guy is gold on the microphone. Well, guess what? That sets up a matchup that we're going to see shortly. But first, we get Old School Goldust in his own segment, and he's back in the director's chair. This is old school at its finest, and the WWE Universe is talking about Goldust. Who would have thought in 2017 we'd be talking about Goldust? That's right, this was a throwback. This guy is back in the director's chair. I am excited to see what happens with that Goldust. Well, here comes that next matchup. I mentioned Kalisto versus Apollo Crews with the Titus brand in tow. Apollo Crews has a new attitude, but it's not enough to overcome Titus, distracting him from the outside. Kalisto picking up the big win. Now we head to the third big hour of 3 hours of Monday Night Raw. That's right, this is the big one, folks. And it starts out with one half of the tag team champions, Matt Hardy with brother Jeff versus Sheamus with Cesaro in tow. And the winner of this is going to decide the Stips for their match at Extreme Rules. Well, guess what? Tag team champion Matt Hardy wins with the twist of fate. And their stipulation that they name is going to be a steel cage. Yeah, baby. I love a steel cage matchup. And it's also very dangerous. It'll be interesting to see if Matt Hardy comes out of that steel cage unscathed or broken. From there, we get some more 205 Live action between Austin Aries versus Neville's twin, Tony Nese. Neville is ringside. And noticeably, Austin Aries is still favoring that knee that has been had a target on it with Neville attacking. Well, guess what? This was a phenomenal finish. We get a guillotine after a vertical souffle and into the last chancery by Austin Aries. That's right. Tony Nese had Austin Aries up in a vertical souffle. Austin Aries turned it around into a guillotine, and that got turned out into the last chancery for the win. That was great. Well, Neville didn't think it was too great, and he attacks Nese afterwards with the Rings of Saturn. From there we get some female competitors. Mickie James versus the Raw champion on the female side, Alexa Bliss. Bliss wins with a pretty standard a la Jake the Snake Roberts DDT. She really stuck it in there. It was good seeing the DDT used in a finishing manner again. Well, Alexa Bliss wasn't done. She took the kendo stick again for the second week in a row, and she hits Mickie James in the back. This brings out Bayley, who grabs that stick, and that scares off Alicia Fox. And that brings us to the main event. All my power of all my warriors. Okay. Let's settle it just down. We're going to take it down just a tad, but we're still going to keep it right here because it's the main event of Monday Night Raw. Yeah, baby. We get Bray Wyatt and Samoa Joe versus 2/3 of the former Shield, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. That's right. We have, here's some notable things in this main event. We have Wyatt and Joe. They have the advantage early. And they're just beating on Reigns, and they're beating on Reigns, and they're beating on Reigns. And you think, you know what? If Rollins could get in there, he's going to take these guys out, no problem. Well, Rollins eventually makes the tag, or sorry, that was the other way around. So then Rollins makes the tag to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes in and cleans house briefly, but remember, this guy is the bandaged big dog in the yard. And he gets posted by Samoa Joe on the outside. They take him out early on in his offense. And for the biggest part of this match, Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt seem to be the dominant players in this tag match involving all main event caliber competitors. During this match, they flash the backstage and GM Kurt Angle's watching intently. What does he have in mind from there? Well, Joe and Bray continue controlling the majority of the match, eventually leading to the hot tag to Seth Rollins, who is on a roll. And this guy's flipping, he's flying, he's doing that suicide dive out the ring. I don't know about the suicide dive. This guy's had enough injuries already in his young career. I don't know if he should be doing that suicide dive. I mean, this is really aptly named maneuver. That is dangerous. Well, he eventually hits a double cross body on them in the ring. I mean, this was a main event of main events. Well, eventually Joe sidesteps the Superman punch from Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns runs into his partner, Seth Rollins, knocking Rollins down. Guess what comes next? That's right, Samoa Joe's vicious coquina clutch. He puts it on Rollins, and Rollins goes to sleep. The referee calls it. You talk about a huge win. This is live, free television. And the coquina clutch puts Seth Rollins to sleep in the main event of Monday Night Raw. What a huge win. I tell you what, this company, the WWE Universe, they better watch out for Samoa Joe because he is on a tear, the likes of which we have not seen in quite some time. I picked Finn Balor as the winner in that Fatal 5-Way. Samoa Joe, he's got to be a close second. Well, here's what happens. Next, after the match is over with, we're backstage. Finn Balor asks for a little bit of fun from Kurt Angle because he's watching this match. And he goes, hey, how about next week? I get a little bit more of this action. Well, guess what he gets? Kurt Angle does make some action for next week, and these are the main events he already announces for next week. We have to wait a whole week. Number one, I like that he already announced the matchups. It builds that anticipation for next week. Can you imagine how hyped we're gonna be in a week from now? Yeah, baby! Okay, these are the matches he announces. Bray Wyatt versus Samoa Joe versus Finn Balor in a three-way live next week on Monday Night Raw. Are you kidding me? That's WrestleMania quality. And that's not all. That's not all. After the incident at the finish of this week's main event, next week we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. You talk about massive main events. This is unbelievable. Whew. 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 This is unbelievable, baby, but we gotta wait a week for next week's Monday Night Raw. Are you gonna be there? Are you gonna be there? Hey, until then, stay tuned for all your wrestling news on onewrestling.com. All shows are covered, all news, there's editorials, there's commentaries, there's special videos, there's links for After Chat with none other than Bill Apter. You name it, this is the place you gotta go. You got something to say to me? You got something to say to me? Huh? Hit me up, Travis Voeltz on the Twitter. I'm at Travis Voeltz, because I am T Voeltz, and this is the nuts and volts of Monday Night Raw. It's time to fire it up, baby. We're gonna get out of here.